What's going on, people? Welcome to ONE37Works, and just real quick at the start, I'd like to apologise if my voice breaks or cracks or sounds funny. I have my once a year, 1 week either side of Christmas illness, and I'm pretty crap and had to take the day off work and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if I sound funny, apologies. But as you probably tell from the title and the thumbnail and all that kind of stuff, it is New Year's Eve, and I thought I would do a kind of recap of the decade, because it's not just New Year's Eve, it is the end of the tens or the teens, or I'm not sure what we're calling them this last decade, because we had the noughties for last decade, but from period from 2010 to 2020 is basically what I'd go over, or what I thought I'd go over in this video, and just kind of talk about some of the highlights, what happened in my life personally with kind of like online tech gaming stuff, and just my kind of hobbies, and just kind of recap some of the highlights that I remember from the last 10 years. Obviously there's going to be stuff that I miss, it's been 10 freaking years, so there's a fair chance that I'll miss or forget about a bunch of stuff, but just the main things that came to my head while I was thinking about this over the last like 10-20 minutes or something like that. Since I had the idea at first, I just basically made a quick note. I have no idea what you're going to be watching. I might just put in a random mishmash of clips from different games that I've been playing over the years or whatever. I have no idea, so just whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, basically to get started with, from 2010 I finished school. I finished primary school, which is like you're kind of like up till age 18, like you're or primary school, Jesus, secondary school even, up to age 18, kind of like from 13 I think to 18, those 6 years. Finished that in 2010, did a year of college, which was no use to me, unfortunately. I ended up not passing the year of college, but it was good. I learned a lot of stuff. I did music technology. Yeah, in 2011 I did a year of music technology to kind of learn how to produce music and sound engineering and all that kind of stuff. But the kind of course it was if you failed one of the like module subsections of it, you failed the whole thing. And there was some like ones that I just had no interest in, like communications or computing, like making a website and stuff like that. I just had no interest at the time. I'd been in school since I was like a child, like just doing more of that when it was nothing that interested me. I sucked at it, so unfortunately I didn't put in the work, and I didn't get the college thing. But I learned again, as I learned a lot for kind of that's been useful making music in the kind of the time since. But that was that. I had my first job in 2012, I think it was my first ever job. It lasted a couple of months, had a few jobs here and there. Went to quite a while actually without work in between leaving school and finally getting my current job. Then yeah, I finally got my current job for like a Christmas temporary thing in 2013 and 2014. I did about 6 months each time, and then in 2015 I was permanently kept on, and I'm still actually with that company, just in a different store now, so that's pretty cool. And again, I've mentioned it before, but if anybody doesn't know, I work in games. I sell games basically for the most part. And actually on a side note, I've been there now 6 years as of this past Christmas, and I'm currently have been promoted basically. I run the department now, so after 5 years I was just kind of like an ordinary guy working at the tills, and I moved to a new store and got a promotion, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's that. So that's how that panned out. Over the years, or over the decade, I turned 21 in 2013, I want to say. 25, and I'm now in my late 20s. Like I've always said, if I was to rob a bank right now, I would be a man in his late 20s. I would not be a man in his early 20s. I would not be a 25-year-old man. I would be a man in his late 20s. For context, I'm 28 in February. So yeah, over the decade, met some lifelong friends, some absolute gems over the years, between college, work, nights out and stuff like that, just random encounters and stuff. Just amazing people over the years. Had some fantastic girlfriends. I was thinking about it. I've spent, between the different girlfriends that I've had and girls that I've met over the years and spent time with, I've spent more than half the decade between them all, which is kind of cool and interesting to know. Like, of the 10 years that have passed in total, between at least two of them, I think I spent 2.5 years or so. So that's 4.5 years already, and then all the other different ones I would have had in the meantime, it must add up to at least about 5 years between a couple of different girls over the last 10 years. So that's pretty cool. They were all really cool. I still get on well pretty much for the most part with most of them. But yeah, no, that might sound strange to throwing girlfriends into something like this, but when you spend half a decade with some people, like they get a show. They get a shout out, 100%. I learned to drive, so I got my car, learned to drive over the last 2 years. I learned to drive, passed my test earlier this year, and got my car in kind of May, I think it was. And so yeah, that was pretty cool. That's a lifelong goal. That's like kind of 16 or 17. Like, I've always wanted to drive. I've always been into cars, but since I was 16, 17, when you're legal to drive in Ireland, I've been waiting until I could afford it, and it took me ages, but I eventually got there. And yeah, you can see, I think I forgot to say at the start, I'll also, as I be going on and like the important bits, and if I've got any clips or footage from videos or that, I'll throw them in as well. Just kind of bits that are relevant. So like my car I'm talking about there, hopefully I should have showed up a clip of the car, or a picture of the car at least, or a link in the description to the video. I think I made a video showing off that car when I first got it, so there'll be a link in the description to check out that video of me showing off my car when I first got it, basically. So that's basically the personal life, kind of the big things that stood out from my personal life. Just to touch on at the very end, I managed to make it through the entire decade, only losing 3 personal close loved ones, or like direct relatives that I can remember specifically. There's been kind of like extended friends and family and that kind of stuff, like friends of friends or family family and friends or whatever that unfortunately passed. But for me personally, I lost my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side, and my mom's grandmother, who would be like my great grandmother, obviously on my mom's side. So lost those three, unfortunately. But like, to get through 10 years and have that be the only ones, pretty good. And like, as you know, you kind of say about life, 3 out, as bad as that sounds, 3 in. I had 3 new nephews and nieces come in after my first one in 2009. My first niece was born in 2009, and then I had 2 more nephews and 1 more niece over the last decade as well. So kind of 4 nephews and nieces altogether, which is pretty cool. And very importantly, my dog Teddy. He was born in 2009, I believe, and he's still going strong. 10 years later, he's obviously, like, what is he now, 10 and a bit, and there's the phone, and yeah, like, he's still doing well. He's kind of has some weird issues every now and again where he has like a little kind of like spasms out where his kind of legs give out a little bit, but that's the most serious. Like, he's not being super ill or had any big issues otherwise, which is pretty fantastic to say for 10 years. So that's personal life. On next to kind of like online / gaming, I didn't really know how to separate these. So in 2012, I want to say, I started my YouTube channel. So that's obviously where I'm posting this now. I reached, over the years, 1,000 subscribers, and actually very recently I just passed 1,500 subscribers, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Not to diminish the fact that, not to diminish that. I appreciate and thank every single one who ever hit that button. But like, I fully understand, like, being like, reached 1,000 subscribers in like 7 years or whatever it's been now. It's my own fault. I make videos, I enjoy making videos, but between certain issues that happened back in the day, like my computer breaking in 2013, problems with recording, all that kind of stuff, it all impacted my ability and my desire and kind of hunger to keep making videos. Like, I used to make videos daily for about a year or so. I want to say I made videos every single day. It was like without exception. And then just had a lot of trouble with the PC, lost the motivation. Kind of the PC then started, like, more recently started to show its age, so I can't really do the content that I'd like to be doing. But yeah, no, like, over the time that I've been doing it, that was a big milestone. I like took a screenshot of it on every platform on the PC and on my phone and stuff like that, of passing 1,000 subs, because that was pretty cool. And then obviously hitting recently 1,500, having a video break 100,000 views. I think it's on like 270 or 280 something thousand views now. That old GTA 5 how to find a Futo video. So that was pretty cool. A couple of highlights on the YouTube channel, and just some of the videos that I've made. I've made some great videos in my opinion, in my time. Some of the montages, some of the how-to videos, like in particular the one that's blown up recently again is my Assetto Corsa montage video. Again, all these links will be in the description if you want to check them out. That's doing really well again. So that's really cool to see. So that's the channel. Obviously, I also did a bit of streaming at the end, was it earlier this year or the end of last year? At some point in the last year or two, I did a bit of streaming. I did it fairly regularly for a couple of weeks, actually built up a little kind of audience. At one point I was kind of getting 10, 15 viewers, kind of 10, well, yeah, closer to 10 viewers, 9, 10, 11 viewers regularly, like every time I'd stream, which is pretty cool. Like, that's a fairly decent success for such a small little dude like myself, like just making like Forza content in particular. As I was doing. And I do have plans for the future about that. Again, I've tweeted all this stuff recently. Hopefully by my birthday at the end of February, I will have a new graphics card for the computer. So the computer will be back up fully running and like good high quality specs to do more streaming in the future and make more videos, like a lot more VR content and that kind of thing. But yeah, just basically, just two big things. The YouTube channel, which has been a huge part of my life for the last 10 years, last 7, 8 years, and then streaming recently enough, which is pretty cool as well. I built my first gaming PC, so I think I ended the decade, or I ended 2009, I got my first Xbox 360, and I played that for a couple of years up until about 2012-ish, and it was about that time, 2011, 2012, I started finding out about PC gaming, and kind of FPS games, Battlefield in particular, on the PC, and like higher frame rates, and using the mouse and keyboard and stuff like that. And yeah, in 2013, I think it was, or 2014, I got maybe it was like tax back from one of my jobs, and I put together my first little kind of cheapo gaming PC with a 650 Ti, i5 3570K on a stock cooler, 8 gigs of RAM, like it was DDR3 RAM even at the time as well, standard like 60 hertz. This one that I'm using is my second monitor now, 60 hertz E-machines, like just standard 1080, no sorry, it's not even 1080p, it is 768 monitor, 1366 by 768. But over the years I've upgraded it. Now I've still got I upgraded it to a 970, and I've still got that, which I plan on replacing soon enough. As I said, I upgraded the cooler originally on the i5 3570K to a Hyper 212 Evo and overclocked that to 4.2, and had that for a couple of years there before finally having to upgrade. And so I got a new motherboard earlier this year. I got 16 gigs, a DDR4 Vengeance RAM, whatever it was, a Ryzen. I went to AMD, which I never thought, like when I first built this PC, if you told me or asked me if I ever see myself building an AMD or putting an AMD component in my PC, I would never said it. But I got an AMD Ryzen 2600X, if that makes sense, because I think I was recommended to 2700 by somebody, And the 2600X basically once you overclock it, it's basically, if I remember, the exact same as like a standard 2700 for like half the price or like a third of the price or something like that crazy. Or like 2/3 of the price, something. Basically, it just made more value for money kind of sense to get the 2600X for me. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. Got an SSD in it there as well. So yeah, built the first game on PC. Also, over the years, kind of picked up my first sim rig setup. So obviously, as you know, if you're subscribed, I do the obviously Forza, set of Corsa videos, play those games. So I got my G920. I got the Logitech 3D Extreme Pro, if does that make sense. I can't remember the exact name for it. The flight stick basically for my handbrake. Then I picked up the Oculus Rift. I originally started with the DK2 and then moved my way up onto the CV1, which is what I currently have. It's still fantastic, still does an absolutely savage job. Terrified of the day that the cable goes for the second time, because I actually did have to replace the cable in it because it got bent, I'm presuming, from where it kind of clips onto the headset itself. It had bent there. And yeah, so basically, aside from the fact that they don't do the replacement cables for them anymore, and you basically, I think I'm basically shit out of luck if the cable goes on them, short of overpaying vastly for somebody who's like kind of, for people that might have snapped them up online when they seen that they were going out of production, I should say. Yeah, Oculus Rift, fantastic. Then as far as like kind of, I make music as well, so like over the years I picked up a proper microphone, because for the first like half at least of this decade, like for up until about 2015 or 2016, I was using a Guitar Hero microphone for all my videos, all my music making, all that kind of stuff. Like anything that needed a microphone, I was using the Guitar Hero microphone, and I've always said it did fine. Like it did absolutely fine. It did the job that I needed it to do. But my girlfriend at the time, thankfully, like I've always appreciated it. I tell her all the time. Used to tell her all the time. I don't still be hitting her up years later. I'm like, every time you just so you know, thanks for that, Michael. Yeah, she picked me up. It's the Audio-Technica AT2020 USB Plus, I believe. Microphone with the UR22 Steinberg audio interface, and my headphones are a pair of Audio-Technica ATH-M50Xs in black. So basically for music production, I got a much better music setup, as well as the KRK Rocket 5 speakers. And yeah, so basically over the last decade, all my kind of hobbies, I was able to make them usable, basically. Like there was a time at the start of this decade, back in 2010 2011, when I was like, I used to dream about having proper speakers. Like I bought a pair of shitty like €15 Tesco speakers, I remember, and just dreamed of the day I'd be able to afford a pair of, like, particularly like the black speakers with the yellow circles that I always used to see in videos. I'm like, oh man, one day having a decent microphone, back when I was using the Guitar Hero microphone. So yeah, that kind of thing, just looking back and just being like, look, I achieved it. It's crazy. Like I got a mechanical keyboard, I always wanted one of those. Pretty good Logitech G502 mouse that I've had for the years now. Yeah, I'm trying to look around and just see what else. A mic stand, a boom stand that I needed, like all these kind of stuff, all these kind of bits and pieces that I'm just looking around and thankful for, and that just stuff that I remember at the start of the decade just being really, really just wishing I could get to kind of make some of the like creation of things and making music and playing games to the highest quality and making videos and stuff like that, make it more possible. So yeah, so that's that. And I think finally then I'm going to jump onto hobbies, because I think that's everything that I like, all the stuff that I can remember at least. There's just obviously specific things, like I've done podcast episodes over the years with like Daniel Matros, the community manager of Battlefield at the time, the likes of Alan Hines, Deck Byrne, Keenan, Mr. OHD, like some big figures in the Forza world and in real life drifting. Welcome to Christmas in Dublin. That is a little shit out on a scrambler making noise. Yeah, like I've done some podcast episodes with some pretty big, huge names, like D. Crew Colin. Actually, that's another one that I shouldn't absolutely not go any further without mentioning or without forgetting. D. Crew Colin was just a massive influence on me for gaming, in particular Battlefield. Switched me over into Battlefield for the most part from Call of Duty back in 2011 2012, and we ended up actually going on to become fairly good, like, kind of online friends. We've been on kind of like, we've chatted a bunch of times, hung out on kind of Skype and done a few podcast episodes as well. So yeah, massive shout out to him. That was pretty class. Again, I'm almost certainly missing something. Like those things only just occurred to me there, so I'm probably missing some stuff. But yeah, there's been some savage stuff over the years as far as like the kind of online tech gaming world for me personally. That's basically that. I thought I would move on to hobbies last then, because it's been a big year for me for my kind of like the hobbies and interests that I have. First and foremost, Tottenham. I support Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Yeah, I basically spent a decade watching Tottenham go from our first ever appearance in the Champions League in 2011, I think it was. I think it was 2010 or 2011 season. I think we qualified in 2010 for the 2011 season. Then that was our first appearance in my whole life. I'd never seen us in the Champions League before. Then we kind of dropped back down to Europa League for a couple of years, and then finally towards the end of the decade we became a regular top 4 team, and kind of like just it's become normal now to be a champion in the Champions League for me as a Tottenham fan, which is crazy. And it all culminated in earlier this year in May, we reached a Champions League final where we were very unlucky to a a first 30-second decision penalty that sucked. That wasn't, in my opinion, shouldn't have been a penalty. That's the debate, I suppose. Yeah, and we got the Champions League final. That was nuts. The goal that they scored, Lucas Moura scored against Ajax to get us to that final, was just, I've never experienced that like that. I ran around my house, no top on, took my top off, jumping on the floor, banging doors, banging walls, hugging my dad. Well, it was nuts, absolutely insanity. Just a massive disappointment as to what happened in the final itself. But yeah, that was just, it's been a crazy 10 years as a Tottenham fan. Some of the maddest stuff has happened as a football supporter. Some fantastic managers, some terrible managers, and now currently with Jose Mourinho. Again, if you told me in 2010 that in 2019 Jose Mourinho going in 2020, like 10 years later, going into 2020, that Jose Mourinho would be managers and our kits would be made by Nike, which was another thing that I always wanted to happen, I wouldn't have believed you. And we'd be in a new stadium, like a brand new stadium, the best stadium in the world, in my opinion. Yeah, it's been a crazy year for it to be, or a crazy decade to be a Tottenham fan. Past 10 years writing graffiti in 2015, that was a big one as well. And if you don't know, obviously I've made some videos in the past, I'll link a couple in the description. I have been writing graffiti since 2005, kind of like is when I first picked up a can and did something. And yeah, 2015, I kind of past 10 years, and now it's been obviously 2019, it's been 14 years, 15 years next year, which is pretty crazy. Because I remember back when I first started in kind of 2006 or 2007, when I was getting really serious about it, just thinking like, oh, this is crazy. Like at some point in time, there will be like, I've been doing this for 10 years, like if I keep going. And it actually happened. And it's been another 4 years since. And I painted more this year, probably more this year than I have in the last couple of years combined. Like I'm still going pretty strong. Like I only painted recently 2 weeks ago, I think, with my friend, if even, might have been last week. So that's pretty cool. The crew that we established back then, 2008, a little group of mates that me and my best friend basically, and we had another guy join us, is now the three of us basically. We're still going, DCK it's called. Super cool, super proud of that. Like that's something that I eventually do plan on getting a tattoo of. Nothing garish or like tag handstyle or something like that, but just something small and simple, like just kind of represent the friendship with the boys basically. Painted every year except for last year. I got into king spray on the VR, so anytime I had the big strong urge to do a piece or paint something or draw something, I would jump into king spray. And just between personal lives and work and lack of money and all that kind of stuff like that, the year just passed me by. I just didn't get out at all for some reason last year. So basically, over the last 10 years, I went out and painted at least once every year. Like along the way, doing some great commissions. I painted the Pro Drift Academy car. I've done some kind of shop fronts around Dublin City, some friends' bedrooms and stuff like that. Like yeah, so like done quite a bit over the last decade. Except for last year, didn't paint at all once, which is something that I thought I had to mention because it was just so unusual. I didn't realise it until like kind of November, December. By that time I just didn't have the time or the money to get out. Like it was just crazy. So yeah, the year kind of came and went. Up next, still producing music fairly regularly, if not as much as I'd like, but even so, it's one of those things where like I'm always on myself in my own head about like not making music. I never finish anything, blah blah blah. But I went and looked, just this year alone so far already, I've published and released 6 songs. I have done a private job for another guy that I got paid for, which was deadly, for his YouTube channel for an intro vid clip, piece of music. And I have a song releasing later today, my cover of, become like a semi-annual thing to do now, like a cover of Auld Lang Syne, that kind of New Year song. So that'll make 7 fully released songs and 1 kind of commission song, making 8. And that's like, how many artists do you know that aren't like Ed Sheeran, who puts out 8 songs like every couple of months, like just at a time? Like there's not that many people that put out 8 songs in the whole year, so that's pretty cool for me. So yeah, still like, again, still love making music, have the whole setup now, have the keyboard, have the speakers, have the earphones, all that kind of stuff that I need to make good music, and I think that I do. I would just like, again, I've got so many unreleased, unfinished work in progresses. I just wish that I could buckle down and get a lot more of them finished than I do. But that's that. And then finally, the last thing that I could think of really was just drifting, cars and drifting in real life. I went drifting at the Pro Drift Academy in 2017, I want to say. It was a Christmas gift from, again, a girlfriend at the time, same girlfriend that got me the mic, side note, and as well as a few other things. That girl, like again, I've always said that, like massive appreciation for her. She was deadly, still get along. But yeah, she basically got me the Pro Drift Academy kind of drifting experience thing. Basically, you go into a Nissan 350Z and do kind of like an oval sort of course. So again, did a full video on it, had that in the description. Just checking an item off my bucket list, because otherwise, like, I don't have the money to buy a drift car. I can't afford a drift car like at all. So like there's a very few opportunities in your life that you'd get to do something like that. We just happen to be so lucky here in Ireland that we have something like the Pro Drift Academy, and we have such a great setup for kind of people to learn how to drift and to kind of get into the drifting world. So that was amazing. On a similar note, at the IDC in Mondello in 2013, I met Matt Powers, who was a massive fan of mine, who I'm a massive fan of. He's a massive hero of mine, I meant to say. And I also met Daigo Saito. I want to throw that in there as well, like one of the best drifters of all time. Like, there's no doubt about it, competitive drifters anyway. Yeah, Matt Powers is just a huge personal hero. I just loved his style, his attitude, his vibe. His cars looked incredible. It's just his whole attitude doing it to drifting when he was in Formula Drift was just, it's something that I totally got on board with. I was a massive fan from when I first discovered him in the Speed Hunters article, which I believe was 2010 or 2011, I think. So I remember looking at that article about his car in college, on the college computers, which was 2011, so it would have been about at the start of this decade as well. Yeah, and basically I got to watch Matt Powers battle Daigo Saito. Unfortunately, not in their cars. Matt was in the it was like a beige 180SX, and Daigo was in a red S15, if I believe. Again, video in the description, you can check it all out. And that's it. Like, it's that wasn't really in any particular order there of anything like of importance or anything like that. Like, just a load of general kind of word salad to kind of get those kind of thoughts out, basically, for the end of the decade. So I thought I'd end the video with a rendition of my Auld Lang Syne remix before I publish the actual standalone video. So you'll be getting, if you've made it this far, you'll get like the first listen, as for whatever that's worth, basically. So that's it. I hope your decade was as good as mine. Obviously, we all have our kind of downsides. We've all got the bad moments over the things that you can remember as well, but it says a lot that despite all the bad moments, that all I could remember, all I wanted to do was make a video that touched on the positives, the highlights kind of thing. And yeah, I think that's important. It's like, yeah, we all gonna have our bad times. It's gonna be bad parts of next decade as well. But as long as you get to the end of it the next decade, looking and remembering the highlights the same way as we're doing now, it's not a bad way to be. I don't know how else to finish this. Just other than that, yeah, I hope you have a good, happy, safe new year. I hope we all start off the next year with a massive hangover if you drink, or a great morning at the gym if you don't, or if you're like someone that's fit and goes to the gym in the morning or something. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. I'll let you go. That's it. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. Should